Chapter 18. I was on Earth now, and I couldn't go home. Sensible. Radiation nothing to do would be find somewhere to hide the craft and figure out some kind of plan. For that to work, however, I needed Philip to be functioning properly. I tried again. Philip, how long till you are finished? Internal repair underway. Duration of repair uncertain. At the roundabout, take the third exit to the A404. I signed, and then was startled by a bomb, seemingly on the side of the craft. Craning round to look out of the window just behind me. I gasped when I saw two Earth people in a tiny, unstable boat. About 3 meters away, there was something moving in the boat as well, which I looked at like a bird, although it probably was not. It seemed as though their boat had hit my craft. Could they see me? Perhaps the VI was not working after all. I could not hear them. Philip, I said. External audio. The internal repair on way. Please hold the line. Your call is important to us. Oh, be quiet. Philip's nonsense was unnerving me. Please hold the line. The person you're calling, no, you are waiting. One of the people outside began to throw things, small stones. It seemed at the craft. I tried to turn the vehicle the old way by expelling some compressed gas from a vent in the rear, and it worked. Slowly, my craft rotated, and I was facing the two humans. They looked straight at me, but it seemed as smooth as they could not see me. These were the first Earth people I have ever seen, other than exhibits at the Earth Zone. They were smaller than I expected. Juveniles, both had pale skin and hair of different shades, and so strange. Tiny noses. How can they smell anything with those? They had clothes on. I knew about clothes. Human beings wear them nearly all the time. The thought of it is enough to make me itch. At once the crowd forward a tiny bit too closer, but I think I alarmed them. One of them looked out something which glinted in the moonlight, and I was momentarily fearful. Was it a gun? I know about these as well. Little handheld devices used to kill other humans. Anyhow, it was not a gun, but something that he used to create a beam of light, which he shone towards the craft, angling indifferently. And I thought I knew what he was doing. If this was the sort of low diffraction amplified light source that you call laser, then he would be getting an idea of the invisible shape in front of him. If I'm honest, I was quite impressed. This was some way beyond the level of intelligence that we have come to accept from human beings. Then something went wrong. Something frightened them. Maybe it was a moment of my craft. But one of them stood up, the other wobbled in the boat, and suddenly they were both tipped into the water and were swimming hard to get back to the shore. One of them holding something. I saw them scramble out onto the wooden deck, and that just out above the water. One of them appeared to be hurt. Philip, can we move yet? Limited propulsion is now possible, Elliot. Thank you for your patience. You are back, I said. I relieved. System damage is significant. Internal repairs are on their way. I risked a further tiny amount of power to follow the guys. But I could not land on the beach. It was too narrow. I stopped it alongside the wooden platform. I was quite close to them now, and I could see that. One, it was definitely a bird accompanying them. It was wet, which may be why it did not fly away. Two, there was something familiar about one of them, which I felt odd about, for how could that be? There was just something about this one, that made me curious. He was hopping about next to other one, who's laying on the wooden deck crying in pain and breathing quite heavy. I could not bear to see him in such distress and not help. I made a fast decision. I will, one, exit my craft. Two, heal the injured one with my stick, because I did not like him suffering. The memory wiped them both, assuming it worked the way it should. We turned to the craft and decide on a course of action. It would be over quickly. The uninjured one started shouting, "Help!" I did not know who was around to help him, but it was not good. If someone came, my task would become much harder. I had to act quickly. Philip, I'm going to exit. Are you quite sure that is wise, Helene? You will exist an invisible craft, and thus simply appear as if from nowhere. This will startle the Earth people. This turned to be an understatement. I think they were definitely startled. Nonetheless, here is the injured one. That what at least. But it was the other one that I kept looking at. It was his freckles and his big dark eyes that were familiar. They were just like Tommy's. And then I learned his name, Ethan. He said, was he could be her brother? Perhaps even her twin brother? Grown in the same womb at the same time, and with a tendency to look like. That never happens. That never happens at home. But then we do now reproduce quite like you. An idea began to form in my mind. Perhaps my situation was improving. After all, humans were better liars. Perhaps this was what humans, their irrational way, called luck or fate. That I should take Ethan back to home with me to save his sister. This was how the whole adventure began. That was how I met Ethan and Iggy and his chicken. When I said that thing about or you never see a sister again, I was guessing. But I know he was her brother when Ethan gave a little gasp and his eyes widened. But how to explain why I was here in the first place? I have to go to when I first saw a human being.